Good evening. I want to welcome all of you to tonight's forum titled Thrive by 5. I will be your host. I'm Sheriff Dave Bellows, and this is going to be an exceptional evening. We have a number of things for you this evening. We're going to be looking at several videos that will better show us how we can improve school readiness in children. We're also going to be looking at defining what is school readiness? What does that mean to each of us? What are the barriers? What are the barriers that we have in trying to provide quality school readiness in children? We're also going to have a panel of resident experts of which you can ask questions. And we're also going to have a call to action at the end. Now, I'm sure many of you are asking, this is a forum on school readiness. Why is the Dakota County Sheriff hosting it? And that's a great question, it really is. As Dakota County Sheriff, I have a number of responsibilities. I'm responsible for a patrol division, an investigative division. I'm responsible for the waterways throughout Dakota County. But one of the most important responsibilities I have is I run a 265-bed jail. Now, every day, people come into our jail and they're brought by police departments. They've been accused of committing a crime, and when they're going into jail, we ask them a number of questions. We call it the booking process. And we ask questions like their age, their ethnicity, where they live, what's their religious affiliation. But one of the questions that we ask is, what is the highest level of education you have attained? And nearly 40% consistently tell us that they have not achieved a high school diploma. Now, this is Minnesota, the land of great opportunity. We are known nationally for having great educational standards, a great educational system, and yet 40%, nearly 40% of the individuals going into the Dakota County Jail have not achieved a high school diploma. And sadly, the numbers are even greater across the United States. But it starts much earlier. I belong to a program called Fight Crime, Invest in Kids, both myself and our county attorney, Jim Backstrom. And this program is focused on the whole perspective of when children are provided quality early education, preschool education. Studies have shown time and time again that the potential of them winding up in the criminal justice system later in life is reduced significantly. And so I remain convinced that if we can increase the opportunities for children to be for preschool readiness, that we'll be able to reduce the number of kids in the booking process and increase the number of kids carrying books to school. I am convinced of that. Tonight, you're going to be provided some great information, and we're going to start out right now with a good friend of mine, Bob Fink, and he's going to introduce a video.
Thanks, Dave. I've been asked to spend a few minutes just to review exactly why and how we got here today, and what were the efforts that brought us to decide that Thrive by 5, or school readiness, would be the topic of emphasis. We started out in June of 2012, almost a year and a half ago, with a group of people from a variety of segments of our community that you see on the screen now. Everything from local government, business, health, faith communities, education, and the nonprofits. And we got together and had presentations from all various aspects of our community, with an emphasis on where are the issues that are some ongoing in Lakeville or have been for some years, some that are new, some that we see developing into the future. So a number of these folks came together to present to us the issues in Lakeville today. And from that, we tried to pull together a variety of trends And we got a picture something like this, which is quite confusing, but also shows the breadth of the issues that we have to look at on an ongoing basis as our community grows, changes, improves, and in some areas has additional challenges that maybe we didn't have in the most recent past. So from this, we started to look at what areas should we really look at, and 3 themes really came to the forefront. School readiness was one, early childhood education achievement as part of that, civic engagement, and the issues around diversity and demographics that have been more recent issues that are facing our community. So from that, we decided that what we wanted to do is specifically look at school readiness. And the idea was to take all of these various aspects, instead of having everybody going every which way in different directions, to try to engage the community in one direction, to try to put together a coordinated action plan to impact school readiness in our community. So with that, we've gone ahead and invited all of you and invited various folks throughout the community to come together in order to see what we can do, what are the resources that are available already, maybe take some of those resources and have them learn about each other so that they can use their efforts in a unified manner, but also to see where we're lacking. What are some of the resources that as a community we can pull together to have an impact on our young people as they prepare for school? One thing that we have now coming up is a short video that talks about real life situations right here in our community. And we have a number of these and a number of the challenges, and we think this video will highlight those for all of you.
Hello, my name is Julie Ritter, and I'm the Early Childhood and Family Education Program Manager for Lakeville Area Schools. My task tonight is to tell you about school readiness. It is a difficult concept to define, and the members of the work team who wrestled with this concept found this to be true. And the definition of school readiness really varies with your viewpoint, whether you work with a school or a social service agency or public health, you're a parent or a grandparent. How you define school readiness is going to look different to you. One of the beautiful things about children, however, is that they are born ready to learn from the experiences that happen all around them every day in their world. Some of those experiences are positive, some of them are negative, but they are going to learn. This group, what they have done is define the elements that need to be in place to ensure that our children arrive at school ready. So, Thrive by 5 children need to be ready to learn on their first day of school. They will benefit from previously experiencing, number 1, rich language experiences through reading and speaking. Why is there so much emphasis on language? That is because oral language builds vocabulary, and vocabulary is a measure of all of the engaging experiences that children have had. It is a very strong predictor of a child's school success. Oral language leads to literacy development, which leads to comprehension. And we know that we first teach children to read, then they read to learn. It's easy for us to envision what the reading aspect looks like. We picture that child holding that book up to you with that, in their eyes, that question, will you read this to me? I want you to think for a moment about your favorite childhood book. What was that like? Was it full of rich language? Might have been something like skit, scat, scoodle-doo, flip, flop, flee, everybody's running to the coconut tree. Or whooping crane, what do you see? I see a black panther sulking by me. Where else do you get to hear such rich language but in books? But it's not just books. It's also the conversation. What happens each day? The conversations that happen with those children around the kitchen table, as you're sitting in the car driving someplace, as you're taking a walk out in nature, those rich conversations are so important. Number 2, caring relationships that support their emotions and social skills. Everything needs to happen within the context of caring relationships. Children who are fearful, who are anxious, who are disengaged, who don't have strong attachments, are going to miss out on countless opportunities to learn. Learning is first built on a foundation of trust, and trust can't happen unless children have caring relationships. And it's not just about, caring relationships as we envision them, but first starting at the home, then moving out into the extended family, then moving into the community. Where are our children? We know that they start with their parent, but then beyond that, they may be with family, friends, and neighbors, or in home child care providers, in the homes of child care providers, in child care centers, some in school settings. It is fortunate that we do have wonderful child care providers in our community and wonderful places for children to experience positive school experiences. But how about you? Where are your children? Or maybe you are one of those who is entrusted to care for and build these strong, caring relationships. We are all teachers, but most especially our parents are their teachers. We need to be able to support them as well. and help those parents to develop the caring relationships that they need to have with their children so that we can move forward into the community and provide caring relationships for all. Health and wellness with good medical care. Here we are. We're at the bottom of Maslow's hierarchy. Food and water related to wellness, but also health related to safety. Again, children and families need these basic needs met before relationships can be built, before rich language experiences can be provided. Even something as simple as an ear infection, especially if it becomes chronic, can affect a child's development, especially speech and language development. How do our families access the healthcare system? How do they find good food to put on their tables? Now, I don't know about you, but I really don't like grocery shopping. Now imagine if you are a new immigrant to this country going to the grocery store in our community for the first time. It's an overwhelming experience. Not only are you overwhelmed by the amount of options that are available, but there are food choices that you're not familiar with, let alone know how to prepare. Who will help you navigate that environment? The next one, structure in their lives that supports the ability to focus and be confident. Structure? Well, yeah. In the educator world, we would call that executive function. It's the ability to use what you know to solve problems, which requires focus and confidence. It takes self-regulation, it takes self-control, and it doesn't come naturally. It is learned and it needs to be practiced. It comes by providing structure such as those bedtime routines and the other routines that we use to support daily life. It means having expectations for children and boundaries and rules. And those just aren't school concepts. Those are concepts that we find in our homes and in our communities. But again, all of this provided with one of our other elements, that warm and caring relationships. If you think for a moment about your favorite teacher, what were they like? Often those favorite teachers were those that could provide firm structure, but they loved us and we knew it. So many of our families live in chaos today. And it isn't just those who might live in the apartment buildings over there. It's some of our middle class and upper class families too. Some of them are just a paycheck away from chaos or a relationship away from chaos. What will we do to support all of our families so that they can provide the structure that their children need to develop good executive function? And last, an environment of respect that promotes the ability to get along with peers and adults in their lives. Isn't this what we all hope for? For respect? We want people to take the time to understand us, to learn who we are, and have the cultural competence to ask questions instead of making assumptions. When we can provide children with environments that provide them opportunities to learn, to navigate those important social relationships so that they are getting along with their peers and they learn to trust the adults in their world, and they learn that the community cares about them, they will be ready for their school experience. Our children and their families with young children need to know that they don't live in isolation, that there is a community that cares about them and, most importantly, respects them. These are the experiences that our children need to be ready for their first day of school. Thank you.
All right, go ahead and put the PowerPoint up. My name is Sigrid Iverson. I'm a mom, I'm a teacher, and a leader of an initiative called Community Bookshelf. Our breakout group was given the task of addressing the barriers to childhood education. Our goal was to provide some potential solutions that would make it conducive to community participation at many different levels. We tried to create options for families that ultimately would encourage their participation, avoiding a we versus they component or mentality. There were 4 barriers that we chose to address, and I want to briefly talk about those and some of the creative solutions that we attempted to come up with. Food and nutrition. We addressed the importance for many families to have access to the more expensive, nutritious foods. The City of Lakeville has a wonderful community garden through a program called Project Food Shelf, or Fruit Patch, excuse me. Not only would this provide a source of nutritious food, but it also gives these families a chance to participate. We also discussed promoting healthy food shelves, educating those that donate foods to these food shelves. Another idea was to encourage culturally specific food so that the consumers of those food shelves would have a more familiar cooking experience. Lastly, to provide cooking classes potentially that partner with restaurants in Lakeville. Again, promoting the importance of good nutrition. Transportation. Parents had a difficulty getting to various events, things like open houses, conferences, family fun nights. We messed around a little bit with different routes to deal with the most challenged of those population families to hopefully make it easy to engage some provider in creating transportation. These were some of the routes. I know it's difficult to see, but we were able to identify the neighborhoods that needed to have assistance with transportation. These routes were very specific, and they were easy enough to come up with. Health and fitness and early childhood experiences. A moving community center. Now, this was a big dream. In Pine City, they have something called the Dragon Wagon. This is what we're looking at. This is a classroom on wheels, and it can provide many, many different things. Things like preschool opportunities, parenting classes, immunization clinics, physical activities, access to community members, early childhood, and English classes. In reality, it could be an efficient way to assist with all 4 of the barriers that we dealt with. Again, this is an example of the Dragon Wagon in Pine City, Minnesota. They have successfully accomplished. Another view. And that's it. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Jack Medasoc. I'm a resident of Lakeville. I'm a parent of a student in our school, and I'm a business owner. I'm personally very excited to be a part of and support this program. It's such a worthwhile cause. What better way to improve our community and expand our relationships than to collectively focus on our youth? My charge here is to touch briefly on some of the ways we can identify needs and solutions, and to probably share the greatest news, and that is that we already have some great programs, services, and infrastructure in place, as you'll see at the tables out in the lobby this evening, to help our youngsters. They just need additional support from those of us in the community. Back in May, our group hosted a providers networking opportunity, an evening of enlightenment, so to speak, where we got all the providers we were aware of specific to school readiness in some way, either nutrition, transportation, healthcare, education, and got them all together and asked them to share their successes and their challenges. And it was an incredible evening. And there is just so many opportunities to either replicate or grow these existing programs that we really realized we didn't have to create new ones. We just have to augment what's there. The key focus outcomes are awareness. We need the ability to identify needs and make those in need aware of the opportunities our community has, and to broaden that. Volunteerism. The services and programs represented here tonight, and this is just a few of them, and identified in our research, really need volunteer efforts from the rest of us in the community. Financial help and/or contributions of goods. Many of these providers lack the financial or tangible resources to more effectively do their job. So what has evolved is our role in Thrive by 5 is to augment these services. And regarding the awareness focus, we need to continue to spread the word and make our community aware of the importance of school readiness and its net effect on our community as a whole. We asked you here tonight to share the initiative with you. We're very grateful that you came and you care, and we hope that you can share it with others. We need to assist the existing provider groups to network and make the community aware of their efforts and successes with our community's youngest citizens. We also need to create and be a resource or a database of places to go for families seeking opportunities for assistance. Regarding volunteers, we need to encourage every community member and civic group to support, expand, and replicate the good works of these programs and people that you'll meet here in the lobby tonight. We need to identify and match community member talents with school readiness challenges. We are asking you tonight to please get involved. Regarding financial help and contributions of goods, we need to encourage everyone in the Lakeville schools area to support our school readiness initiative. We also need to encourage the business community to support our efforts. We are in Lakeville blessed with a business community that cares and reacts quickly and has proven it over time when needs arrive. The tables that you see in the lobby this evening are occupied by some pretty amazing people. There are tables for the community bookshelf which Sigrid and her group started. They're a local program of reading and learning augmenters started by a group of local teachers and residents. Our Dakota County Public Health group has a table here, a comprehensive county resource for families in our area. Simply Good Eating program, a nutritional and food resource and educational system that even teaches cooking classes and appropriate food use. Park Nicollet Lakeville is here, a local health care provider. Dr. Singh, I think, is here tonight. District 194 has several programs here at the tables, including early childhood family education, early childhood screening, Help Me Grow, early childhood special education, Small Wonders, the Wonder Zone, Dakota Healthy Families, Partners for Success, Child Care Aware, and also Messiah has their Feed My Sheep food shelf program represented at the table this evening. So please take time to visit the tables and speak with these people and hopefully understand what they do and see if there's a way that you can help. These tables represent a great base of service, but not all the service providers that our community has. If you have an interest, we have a place for you, even if you don't see it here tonight at the tables. So the question comes down to, what can you do? If you are a teacher, perhaps you could offer some additional support. Evenings, weekends, summers, that type of thing. Maybe you could recommend to your students to help in the reading programs or English language learners. That's a tongue twister. If you're a business person, can you contribute goods or services? If you're a member of our faith community, can you consider donating space for meetings or educational opportunities that way, near where we need it? Can you donate land or a part of your lawn area for a community garden? Can you encourage volunteer participation within your church? If you're a civic group, for example, a scout troop, looking for ways to make badges or earn badges, Can you participate in some of our programs? If you're a student, can you help with language skills? Can you use that second language that you're learning at Lakeville to help some of our younger community residents? So truly the opportunities are limitless and really driven by a sincere interest for a better community and experience for our young residents. And from that, we will all benefit. So, thank you.
Thank you, Jack. Well, as you've gotten to listen to several individuals this evening, I'm sure you have questions, and we are fortunate because we have, as I referred to them earlier, as a group of resident experts. And so this is your opportunity to ask any questions. And we have, in the back, we have Steve Milkey, and he's got a microphone. So I'd ask that you raise your hand, and then Steve will come over to you so that we can track the question for the broadcast later. So, any questions?
I'm curious to know how people can get involved if they're not here this evening. How will they learn about this?
Who wants to take that?
I think the best thing at this point would be to probably contact one of the community members that is on the listing, as well as if you can remember, or if you can't remember their names or where they're from, you could probably contact Mr. Melky's office at the city or Jeff Mortensen at 360 Communities, and they'll have the appropriate contacts in the various fields, as well as any of us.
I think too that there is an opportunity for most of the groups that are here. They have some sort of a website or information in different places. Perhaps they use social media. And I know for many of the tables, we have information for contact. And I think it's also going to be about the community being able to share with each other. So if all of you who are here can talk to other community members to hopefully drive that excitement and that desire to participate, I think that's a helpful thing as well.
Might also add that I believe we have a resource list that's either compiled or being finished. Jeff, are you familiar with whether that's ready for people to get or not? Or
We do, and I have it.
you do have it?
Yes.
Okay. So there is a resource list available from that earlier forum that Jack mentioned. Jack, I don't know if you want to make any comment.
No, it's available for virtually every need a family would have. But it was surprising at our provider networking forum how few of the providers really knew each other or completely understood what each other did. So that was kind of a surprise to us, but the ability for them to get together and really share what their successes and challenges were opened up a lot of these opportunities that we've talked about this evening that have already started springing from that action. So it's our intent to, on a yearly basis, basically bring all those providers together to revisit, understand if there's been staff turnover, that type of thing, and then reestablish that networking opportunity so that we can more effectively serve those families or people in need.
Sheriff, I have a question for the audience, or for the panel. If what I saw tonight was a good explanation of why school readiness is important to these families and why the need is there for the children. Why is this important to the community? What does this mean to the community to have children that are not school ready?
I'd like to take that one. I think it comes down to why is it important for a community? One of the projects that the state of Minnesota is working on right now, and that's best workforce. If nothing else, for our society, for our world, it's about creating experiences for families and children that will prepare them for their futures, so that our sheriff isn't having to use those beds in his jail, so that we have adults who are ready to be productive citizens of our community.
I think too, just really quickly, I think for me, community is as much about our own places of perhaps employment. It is also about the city of Lakeville. It is about the state of Minnesota. It is about a country. It's the global society that we live in. And the more we prepare kids, the better the potential. And as you stated, and is kind of a give me, that just benefits everyone.
I had a quick question. Is it your intent that Thrive by Five will have kind of a life of its own as an entity, a website, a central communication hotline, or is this just a brand that's living within your work group and isn't really a brand for the community, so that the intent is just to refer people who might be interested in volunteering to the individual agencies? How does that work? You know, we've got a nice brand, we've got a message potentially about coordinating all these efforts. What comes next to make sure that people know about everything that exists, and how do you refer them to those agencies?
You want to field that, or you want me to? I can't. It's a good question, Alan, and I think probably as the process evolved, what we realized was our role wasn't to create, it was really to support. And I think the best we can do as an organization is to keep feeding the existing programs with the support they need to continue, replicate, and expand the programs they have. So we're not trying to create a cumbersome new program or structure or anything like that. We're really trying to just augment what's in place already. And I think try to use our group as a communication vehicle, not only for the providers to network to each other, but those that can benefit from these programs and services to have a little better access to it. Does that answer your question? So it's...
I would just add to that, I think we've had discussions about how do we continue on an ongoing basis to provide even things like the resource guide so that people would know where to go to link up with others. That's a challenge that that's a question that's still out there. So part of our linking with resources and our ideas of finding out what's in the community is we're looking also for someone who can bring ideas to us as to how to establish a Thrive by Five website and maintain that so that we could continue to add resources and also link those resources together. So later on we'll have a call to action, and that's one of our calls to action.
I have one question, and that is, in my business, we're always talking about breaking cycles, whether it's a cycle of violence, the cycle of addiction. Do you see in early childhood readiness breaking cycles where parents may not have had those opportunities, and now we're seeing the same thing in their children?
Absolutely. I think that's what a lot of our work is about. Whether you're in the public health field or social services or in the education world, one of the most important pieces of work that we do is parent education, to try to break that cycle, to give them concepts and ideas about what do routines look like, what does structure look like, what does it mean to have a literacy-rich home, what does a caring relationship look like, and that all comes down to parent education. And it doesn't start as the children are entering school. It needs to start early. It needs to start before those children are born. In fact, there are those that would say it needs to start with our youth. You know, that we're giving them good role models to follow when it comes to parenting, and if it's not within their own family, that it is someone else in the community that they can look to provide those good parenting role models. But parent education is key.
I think too that what we discovered with the barriers to education piece, these barriers absolutely stop some of these families in their tracks. If they can't get to school for the important events, they are disconnected. If they are not understanding, for example, how nutrition plays and the importance that it plays, especially for children before they turn 5, that stops them in their tracks if they don't have access to those types of resources. So in breaking the cycle along with that family or parent education, I think eliminating these barriers to make it a little bit easier for those families to access resources is a huge, huge piece of this.
Well, I think that's all the questions we have. I want to thank Bob, Julie, Sigrid, and Jack for their information. Do we have I'm sorry.
I don't know if I understood, the gentleman over here had the question. I have a big voice also.
Well, we need it for the program.
The gentleman over here had a question about how to make this available to everyone. I heard about this from an email. I'm a teacher in this district, and I have had this issue and this concern as well as my colleagues for a long, long time, because by the time I get them in 3rd grade and they don't know their alphabet, you kind of go, oh. And I see that there's something broken, and I think this is great that people are coming together. But as an educator, and I can volunteer my time, but by the time they come to us in an elementary school, not that it's too late, but it's kind of too late. And I know this is a setup meeting, so to speak. This is a planning meeting, and how do we do this? But how are we going to hook in the social workers in our building, the guidance in our building, the teachers in our building, so that they're all aware of this? Because I know if I talk to many of my colleagues, they don't know what this is. How are we sharing this message, I think? And I know you had talked about a website, or how are we going to make sure that everyone is aware of this so that we can really make this successful? Get lots of perspective so that we can reach these families early, a lot earlier than I'm able to in an elementary school. I don't know if I heard that plan, or maybe that plan is still being developed, but I don't know. That's my question.
I guess the best way to answer that is this is our first night of really coming out to the public really with this program, or this effort, this initiative. Many of us will go out, and we've engaged the Chamber of Commerce. We're going to go out to the civic groups and speak to all of them, from the Rotary to the Lions to what have you, to try to engage those communities as well. We've got a number of members in our group that weren't able to be here tonight in the faith community, and there's a group of Lakeville churches that basically get together and band together to work on certain common activities and that type of thing. So we've got them engaged in the process as well. But all that's kind of happening behind the scenes right now. But we're just trying to make the community at large aware starting this evening. So.
I just said, you're highlighting the challenge that we have. I mean, we have been a group of interested citizens. We have found that there are a number of resources already out there. How do we make families of young children, how do we make young parents, like Julie talked about, aware of this? Those are questions that we have, and that we don't have a road, a plan, a map, if you will, at this point. So tonight was another step in bringing resources together, and to see if there are additional individuals that want to join in that also have great ideas of how do we connect further. And Jack's highlighted some of the other folks that have been involved, but that's definitely a huge challenge as to whether this is going to be ongoing or just a one-night show. And we're hoping it isn't. You know, we've been pulling people together over the last year and a half to try to get this far, and now we're hoping that we can get some more momentum through groups like this.
Just one additional thought. I don't think this requires an answer tonight, but I think any thinking person is going to see the human and the emotional benefits of what this group is trying to do. Obviously, they're potentially huge. As a business person myself, and as a volunteer, I think a lot of people do a mental calculus about personal economics and economics for their business. And not that this should come down to money only, but if there's a way to put together some set of information about the costs of not educating children early and the benefits of doing so financially when you catch them early and you create some efficiencies downstream so that our third grade teacher is not teaching the alphabet to a set of third graders, that might ring really strongly with a certain group of people to whom that mental side of the economics is really important. I don't know how that's done, but there probably are some facts and figures there somewhere.
Actually, that research does exist. A couple of businessmen from the Minnesota community who worked for the Federal Reserve in Minneapolis, Art Rolnick and Rob Grunwald, did that research. And they put together what the economic benefit was to our country by investing in early education. So that research does exist and absolutely could be made available to the community.
Any other questions? All right. Well, again, I want to thank Bob, Julie, Sigrid, and Jack for all their information this evening. The next piece on our agenda would be a video called Ounce of Prevention.
That's me at 4 months old. I'm one of the thousands of little miracles born into poverty every day. That's my mom. She's 17 and never finished high school. She's got some big dreams for me, but she's alone and she's scared.
This is my first birthday. That's my grandma, my cousin Tanya, and her boyfriend Kevin. We all live together. It's cold and crowded. I hope we move soon. I don't like Kevin. He's always yelling. This is my second birthday. We're all at daycare, strapped in watching TV again. I wish I could just run around.
This is my third birthday. My brother William's taking care of me while my mom sleeps. She works the night shift, so we can't turn up the TV, but we get to go to bed whenever we want.
This is my fourth birthday. We're sleeping at my aunt's this month. I don't know when my dad's coming home, but I'm hungry and I miss him. This is my fifth birthday. This is my first day of kindergarten. I'm tired. I'm hungry. I'm unprepared because I didn't get the right start. I'm twice as likely to be in special education.
30% more likely to never go to college.
70% more likely to be arrested for a violent crime.
Become a teen parent.
Drop out of school, never hold a job. Spend the rest of my life in poverty.
My mom plays with me all the time. She smiles a lot now, and she knows she's not alone anymore.
Grandma, Tanya, and Kevin read me a story every night before I go to bed. I go to my school every day, where I get to run and play and see all my new friends.
Will and I go to preschool together. Today Today, we learned about dinosaurs and played a counting game.
Every morning, my dad and I brush our teeth and eat breakfast together. We have our own place now, and I know we'll always be together. This is my first day of kindergarten. I'm rested, I'm eager, I'm confident, I'm curious, I'm prepared.
I'm ready. I am your future. Change the first 5 years, and you change everything. Anyone interested in investing?
When I started out the program this evening, I talked about the impact it would have as sheriff of Dakota County. You know, I've been in this business for nearly 35 years, and I dealt with the parents. I was dealing with their kids, and I've been in for so long, I'm starting to deal with the grandkids. And when I asked the question about the cycle, I see it repeatedly. I see it repeatedly. And I'm not saying that every child that doesn't have the opportunity for early education is going to be in the criminal justice system. The statistics will tell you they have a much higher probability of it. But it's more than that. It's the opportunities missed that they have in their lifetime. I believe, and I've always referred to education as a silver bullet to success. I firmly believe that. And as a longtime member of this community, I want to make sure everybody understands just how important this is. Our last piece for this evening is what we call a call to action. Now, we talked about how long should this be? Should it be a paragraph, 2 paragraphs? And we came down to a single sentence. And that sentence is this: please support our local efforts to improve children's readiness for school. That's what we're asking for this evening. I want to thank you for coming this evening. I want to thank our audience who is going to be able to watch this on Channel 16 for over the next month. And I want to thank, again, our folks that participated this evening, Bob Fink, Julie Ritter, Sigrid Iverson, and Jack Medasoc for all their contribution. And have a good night. And again, we have a number of our tables out there. Jack referenced them earlier. We have a number of providers. Please go visit them. They have great information for you. Thank you very much.